have people reach out to me, hey man, do you think I should put this in my resume? And it's clearly like something that would help them. Like you can only gain, so why are you sitting and waiting for an approval to do something you know you should be doing?
I mean, we have like some case studies, like little stuff, but we don't have anything that's like, oh, new client wants to consider us, like here's what they need to see. So how do you transfer all that work that you've done in like a succinct way that like doesn't damage the look that you might have?
Yeah, this is a great question. It's funny. I've seen some other people do like a pitch deck. I don't like that personally. I'll typically, I'll use the frameworks that I mentioned, but typically the sales call will usually get to a breaking point, like kind of towards the middle of the call, where it's like at this point I need to kind of bridge the gap and show them what we have or show them a client related to them. And there's a bit of nuance there, but especially if there's a client that's like in the same industry or an adjacent niche, what I'll do is I'll just share my screen. It's kind of a psyop in a way, but it's just the easiest way to do it. I'll go and I'll share my screen and I'll just click through my like raw browser that I work on, and I'll click through. I have on Twitter, I have a client list. It says clients. So I'll click the client list. I'll scroll through my clients, click the biggest client or click like a client that's related to them or show them a few clients. I'll be like, so yeah, this is what the content will look like. And as an aside, I have Figma processes built out. This is actually a great piece of information is I have Figma processes built out for what the funnels look like for every client. So for example, what the funnel looks like for pretty much all our clients, it's a 4-piece funnel on Figma. It's the birdhouse, what we do, tweets, threads, LinkedIn, everything like that. Setters do this, book calls, all this stuff. This is how you're going to convert. Closers, product, school, WAP, etc. So I have it built out on like a bit of a Figma file that I can show you. I'll usually pull that up and I'll run through each step with a different piece of a different Chrome tab. So like I'll be like, okay, so this is what the content will look like. Scroll through the clients. Then you'll go into like booking calls and I'll pull up literally the internal tracking sheets, like the Google Sheets. I'll be like, this is what the tracking looks like. As you can see, this is one of our more recent clients who just did 100K last week. I did have a client who did 100K last week. And I'll be like, look, he booked this many calls. And I scroll through the Google Sheets. I'll be like, and then the closer. So then I'll scroll through the CRM. And then, your school program or whatever, I'll literally go to some of our clients' schools and I'll be like, yeah, so as you can see, we have a ton of clients with school or a ton of clients with WAP, whatever. And I'll just make it as customized to them as possible. So if I'm talking to you, for example, I'm going to pull up, if I have another sales client, I'm going to pull up the sales client that we're crushing it for, then the Google Sheet of that client that's crushing it, the CRM of the client that's crushing it, and the school community. And I'll just like make it so so believable and so relatable that they're like, I could envision my CRM, my profile, and my school community there. And it's so easy. They're like, wow, this is sick. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. Because it's so raw. If you do a pitch deck, it feels so prepared that they're skeptical. If you do it raw, oh yeah, bro, let me just share my screen. I'll just go through a couple of our clients' stuff. And they're like, yeah, that would be great. So they know it's raw and real. Yeah. Whereas if you come with like a pitch deck or something super scripted, they see right through it. It's 2024. You can't do that anymore. So yeah, that's basically the sales agency process.
That's so hard to outsource to someone too. They have to, like, I find that now with either my community or the agency, it's like, we have all these internal resources and tracking mechanisms and all that, but it's like, it's so much that like bringing someone new in, like it's very difficult to show them how and when to use all that different stuff.
Yeah.
But
and it's also the conviction. You can't teach it. Like yeah. I have so much energy and conviction when I'm doing it, and I'm so excited about it that they could feel that energy. I think it was you or someone said that like sales is just a transfer of energy. Like people could feel your energy and your vibes. If you don't have the vibes, the energy, the conviction, they're done for. Like you've probably gotten on some calls with some sales kids. It's just like low vibe, low vibration, the blurry camera. They have no conviction. They're not really energetic. They're just kind of reading through a script. It's horrifying. When I do it, it's like high energy. I'm in my nice setup. I've got the birdhouse behind me. Like I'm getting them hyped a little bit by accident. I'm not like trying to be a hype man, like cringe. I'm just like naturally excited about it. So I think that is just as important as everything else. So it is pretty hard to teach, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay, so you didn't always have banger client results. Like back when you first started the agency, you obviously had to do things a little bit different. You said you were charging like 1,000 a month retainer. Like how was your selling different then? Because I'm sure it was really different.
Yeah. So, in stage one, when I was on Upwork, Upwork is just Upwork. You win the job. You never have to jump on a call. Stage two was like email and then Twitter DMs. Those guys, to be honest, I was coming in with a guarantee. So I would come in with like some sort of follower guarantee or like a really low price that it was like basically a no brainer. So like I remember one of my first Twitter ghostwriting clients was $1,000 a month, no percentage. And it was like a grind. He basically negotiated the shit out of me. I had no leverage, so I had to accept. So I just accepted him at $1,000 and I got like 2 good screenshots out of it in terms of it's not even testimonials, just screenshots of social proof. And I brought that to my next sales call, and I was able to charge a little bit more. I actually did some free trials that I was able to get some screenshots. So I believe in doing like basically the dirty, cheap, borderline free work to get some sort of social proof so that you have some sort of leverage. And what I was able to do is with all of that, I was able to move on to that 3-4K a month client. And I was able to convince them at the 3-4K a month. And I basically was like, what was my guarantee? Like you'll get 5,000 followers in, 90 days guaranteed, for like 3K a month or whatever. And that was the client who I mentioned who hit 100K plus. So once I had that testimonial, that's when I started doing the social proof selling is what I'll call it. So it was honestly a grind, and it always is, but that's like entrepreneurship in a nutshell.
Yeah, you just gotta fight and claw for that first piece of proof that you can do what you say you can do. And then you need to position that or learn how to position that in a way where people are going to believe it, and they're going to believe that it's possible for them. And that's one thing I talk to like the sales reps about too. It's like the first role to get as a closer, whether you have sales experience or not, the hardest role to get is the first one. And then once you have that and you can say, oh yeah, I closed 300K last month on this offer, you go almost anywhere you want. And then especially, everyone feels different one way or another about like name dropping, but if on a sales resume, like you can name drop because it's like the company that I work for, but dude, you get a couple big names under your belt. Same with the agency. Like,
yeah, especially in a small industry, like an industry like info is so small. It's like, you could basically if you work for any top 50 guy, you're pretty much set. I honestly don't think enough people utilize their previous experience in their personal brand. And maybe I need to give a personal brand profile building masterclass to the serial sales community, because I feel like 1 in every 50 to 100 reps that I've seen apply have like, 200K closed, 200K closed, this, that, and the other in their bio. And it's like super oriented around sales. I just feel like a lot of these sales guys are either they have some other random offer that they tried and failed, or they just have nothing related to sales, or it's a personal account. 1 in 100 have an actual sales closer setter related profile. And I always hire the person with the profile. It's just like, you could tell that they do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people in this space, they operate off of like Facebook as well, which I would say, ideally you have a sales branded profile, but like, dude, you really don't need that. It's like, it's more so about like the profile will usually work against you more than it'll work for you if you're a sales rep. So like if your profile, the banner is like you with the boys with like beers flipping the camera off, like it's gonna leave a certain impression. But like, I mean, dude, I would rather hire just like if I just saw this dude and he sends an application and it looks good and I go to his profile and it's just like a normal dude who uses Twitter. He's not promoting anything. He's not tweeting. He's just retweeting. Like I would rather consider someone that didn't mess it up than someone that is like showing red flags already, Yeah,
that's true. There's more you can do wrong than you can do right as a sales guy. It's like, just don't have a horrible profile. If you have an average, like no red flag profile, I'd rather you have no profile than a bad profile, because at least you're not getting disqualified.
Yeah. And the thing is now, dude, a lot of these guys that are creating sales brands, like, dude, they're doing it wrong, man. Like it's very like cringy. It's very like Wolf of Wall Street.
A lot of these guys get into sales for the wrong reasons. And like, it's like, it's not even that they're necessarily doing it wrong, it's that they're wrong. Like you're just not the
Yeah.
right person, bro. Like you need to like fix your shit, fix your life,
Yeah.
bro. Like uh, I will say like a profile, there is a lot you can do wrong, but you could do if you niche down as a salesperson, maybe not niche down, but just like if you want to work for like a certain person, you can do like you can game it. Like for example, I just hired for a fitness offer, and like you're getting DQ'd if you're fat. So like if your picture in your profile is like if your header is like a football like college football and your profile is like XD1 athlete turns closer, some shit like that, like you're obviously getting put on an interview for an ex-athlete's offer or a fitness offer, right? Like same thing if your values like if you have a Christian, if you sell to Christians and your bio literally has a cross in it, guess what? Your instant interview. Like
Yeah.
you can game it that makes it work for you if you're shooting or gunning for a certain offer. Like just right before you reach out, just fucking fix your profile. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it's also like we have entrepreneur brain. A lot of guys don't have entrepreneur brain, and I think that's the big thing is you have to have entrepreneur brain as a closer, even if you're not technically an entrepreneur.
Yeah, dude. I some of this stuff, man, and not everyone thinks the same. And I feel like I've had this conversation with you actually. Maybe with someone else. I'm like getting deja vu right now. But like I'll have people reach out to me and something super, super obvious. It's like, hey man, do you think I should put this in my resume? And it's clearly like something that would help them. And I'm like why are you taking the time to message me and wait for a response when you know what the answer is going to be already? Like just do it. Or like, hey man, do you think I should apply to this job? Yes. Like you don't lose
Yeah.
anything. Like you can only gain. So why are you waiting, like sitting and waiting for an approval to do something you know you should be doing?
Yeah, I think the reason we feel like that too is me and Julia talk about it all the time. Is like I think once you're a CEO, you just get so frustrated by dumb questions because time is already so limited. Like how annoyed do you feel when an employee asks you the dumbest fucking question ever? Like a question that they should be able to answer themselves with like a simple Google search or something, or like
Yeah.
obvious shit, right? Like I think that's why once you're CEO, your tolerance for the average person. I guess that's the only downside of being both B2B and B2C is you have B2B brain dealing with B2C people. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you get very frustrated. You're like, isn't it odd? But you don't realize that in the event of you scaling your business so high and you're getting so much, income and like you're just crushing it, you're just elevating to such a level that you don't even realize that you used to be that person.
Yeah.
So I think that's honestly like a CSM hiring tip is like you need to get someone with insane empathy